Hello and welcome to my Heritage Interview Project. I'm here with my dad. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Leah. My name is Michael Winter. I was born in 1975. That makes me 50 years old. Yes, I am your dad.
What are the things that come to mind when you think of your childhood in Germany? What was it like growing up there?
Well, I think the first things that come to mind is love, freedom, and the word analog. Thinking about it, that was a time without social media, without cell phones. So pretty much every moment we lived, we experienced and lived and enjoyed it in the present, right? And we talked to each other. We would not text each other, so it was a very personable experience. Freedom. We were considered the latchkey generation, so I spent a lot of time outside. And love. I experienced a lot of love from my parents.
What are some things that your parents taught you, such as morals, traditions, and tips? Would you say these are cultural?
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind is that my mom told me, and she had it from her dad, to always do the right thing and fear nobody. And this is one of the things that I turned into a model for myself. There are plenty of others. Is that one cultural? I'm not sure. I think that would apply probably to any culture. But if I would dig deeper, I'm sure that I would find a few that are maybe culturally motivated or related to German culture. But not this one, I would say.
What kind of foods did you eat growing up? Are there any recipes you have taken with you into your adult life and to the United States?
To answer the latter question, unfortunately not. But there were certain foods that I really, really loved. I grew up in Bavaria. So, by definition, Bavarian food, such as pork roast, dumplings, is something that I grew up with and that I love to this very day. My dad's side, they were from Baden-Württemberg, which brought things like Spätzle into the family.
Very interesting. How would you say that holidays and celebration differ here than from the way you celebrated them growing up in Germany?
Well, there are a couple of holidays here, celebrations, traditions here that don't exist in Germany or did not exist when I grew up. Maybe exist today to a certain extent, but not to the same extent as they exist here and are celebrated here. For example, Thanksgiving or Halloween. Thanksgiving is celebrated, but it's a very small thing, and Halloween is catching on. It's turning into a commercial thing like it is here in the US, but it's nowhere near, compared to the US. Christmas is very similar, but different, and the major difference is that kids get to unwrap their presents on the evening of the 24th of December and not on the morning of the 25th.
And what was your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Me too. So you have Sinti heritage. Can you explain this to our viewers? When you were growing up, was it discussed often at home, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, the Sinti people, they are a subgroup of the Romani people, similar to the Roma people. And our roots are in India. So many hundreds of years ago, people left India and started their difficult journey. My ancestors, they finally arrived in Western Europe, in France, and in Germany. The reasons why they left India are still debated, wars, persecutions, etc. It was discussed a lot. My dad was always very big on, telling stories related to ancestors, relatives. So he made sure that I understood, where he came from, that I understood our roots, at least on my father's side, right? My mom's side is from Germany. And it became or a part of my identity. It's always been a part of my identity. It does mean a lot to me. It's an important part of me.
That's beautiful. What is the story you were told about your heritage or family growing up?
There are many stories, but since we are, Sinti people, of course, a lot of the stories they centered around the Nazi regime, World War II, because a lot of our ancestors died in concentration camps. And one of the most horrifying stories, that of an aunt of my dad, who was on a train to Auschwitz, to the concentration camp, with her 4 kids, and then either jumped off the train or was pushed off the train. To this day, it's not clear what really happened, but her kids were sent to Auschwitz. They were murdered there. She escaped. She was captured later by the Nazis, but survived World War II and the concentration camp. She was also sent to Auschwitz. A very sad story.
Yeah, that's a really terrible story. I didn't know about it prior to this. To lighten the mood, what
Yeah.
was your neighborhood and the house you lived in like growing up? And what was school like for you?
Yeah, I grew up near the city center of Munich. It was a blue collar neighborhood, predominantly, 100-year-old houses, apartment buildings, which were very simple. So yeah, everybody knew everybody. Was a tight-knit community. It has changed in the meantime. Multi-million-dollar apartments these days. Really enjoyed growing up in this neighborhood, and yeah, it's a wonderful part of Munich. How it was growing up, yeah, out and about. Like I said before, latchkey generation almost every day. So I knew each and every street and house and backyard in our neighborhood.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Did you travel often? Where did you go, if so? And what was it like to be a German in these destinations as compared to being an American tourist?
Yeah, as a kid, most travel was done by car, right? My first flight, I think that was when I was 21 years old. So we would travel a lot by car to Austria and Italy. During the summertime, summer vacations were mostly spent in Italy, in a little town called Cesenatico on the Adriatic coast. A lot of Germans traveled to Italy in the 80s, uh, still to this day, but I think the 80s, that was the peak. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's about it. Also went to France once, but vacation when I was a kid, that was Italy to me, right?
And we've been to Italy recently. Has it changed a lot the way they treat tourists, or is it mostly the same?
Well, I think since the peak was in the 80s and the Germans brought in a lot of money, right? They were treated accordingly. Everybody was super duper nice to the Germans, of course. And it depends. It's difficult to generalize, but I think overall, the destination that we went to has deteriorated. Of course, people now, instead of going to Italy, they travel to other destinations. Italy is quite expensive compared to, getting on a flight to Mallorca, for example. So yeah, and when it comes to other destinations like Florence, where we went, right, I have no way to compare it because I've never been there as a kid, right?
That makes sense. What traditions and customs do you still wish we practiced as a family today?
Yeah, I haven't identified any specific lack or gap. I would say in general. So there are no bigger things that I'm missing. There are a couple of adjustments that we made to existing traditions like Christmas, celebrating it a day later, which I really enjoy. And then there are new traditions, new holidays that I didn't have or didn't celebrate when I was a kid, like Thanksgiving. Really like that. There are only small things, I would say, like roasting an apple on the fireplace, which I would love to do. We should actually do that
Yeah,
together.
we gotta make mom do it.
Yeah, or the particular food that we had on Christmas Eve, which was just a bratwurst, very simple food. It's those little things maybe that I miss sometimes, but nothing really major.
I guess we could always bring them back
Yeah,
sometimes.
right.
But what would you say is the main thing that comes to your mind when you think of your heritage as a German man living in the United States?
Well, sorry. Well, the great thing about the US is that it is a melting pot anyway, right? So somebody like me with a mixed heritage, I think, fits in nicely. With regard to that, I've never encountered any discrimination, etc., because a lot of people in this country are from somewhere else or have a mixed heritage. I think living here enriched my life, enriched our lives even further because now, to whatever mixed background that we have, on my side, German and Sinti, you also have your mom's side, the Afghan side of things, and that mixed now with the American culture, American traditions. I think that makes for a really, really complex and rich, cultural background, not only for myself, but especially for my kids. I think, a lot of positives there. But at the same time, of course, I'm still a German and a Sinti, and probably never a true American, whatever that is. Maybe that doesn't even exist, and maybe a true American is a person of mixed background, because don't we come from someplace else? Because don't we all come from someplace else?
I would-
Somewhere else.
I definitely have to agree with that. It's a nice thing to have the mix for
Yeah.
sure. So that was my last question. Is there anything you would like to add?
The only thing I would want to add is that this was a very pleasant interview. Thank you so much for,
Thank
having so much curiosity. Really
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
it.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.